the People's Republic of China's electric power industry has changed dramatically since the early 1990s to become the world's largest electricity consumer, passing the United States in 2011. In 2014, it generated 5583 TWh, 25% more electricity than the U.S. In April 1996, an electric power law was implemented, a major event in China's electric power industry. The law set out to promote the development of the electric power industry, to protect legal rights of investors, managers and consumers, and to regulate generation, distribution and consumption. Most of the electricity in China is produced from fossil fuels. In particular, about 79% of annual electricity was produced with coal in China between 2004 to 2010. China has abundant energy. The country has the world's third-largest coal reserves and massive hydroelectric resources. But there is a geographical mismatch between the location of the coal fields in the northeast and north, hydropower in the southwest, and the fast-growing industrial load centers of the east and south. Recent history. China's power industry is characterized by fast growth and an enormous installed base. In 2014, it had the largest installed electricity generation capacity in the world with 1505 GW and generated 5583 TWh. China also has the largest thermal power capacity, the largest hydropower capacity, the largest wind power capacity and the second largest solar capacity in the world. Despite an expected rapid increase in installed capacity scheduled in 2014 for both wind and solar, and expected increase to 60 GW in nuclear by 2020, coal will still account between 65% and 75% of capacity in 2020. Government. Before 1994, electricity supply was managed by electric power bureaus of the provincial governments. Now utilities are managed by corporations outside the government administration structure. To end the state power corporation's monopoly of the power industry, China's State Council dismantled the corporation in December 2002 and set up 11 smaller companies. SPC had owned 46% of the country's electrical generation assets and 90% of the electrical supply assets. The smaller companies include 2 electric power grid operators, 5 electric power generation companies and 4 relevant business companies. Each of the 5 electric power generation companies owns less than 20% of China's market share for electric power generation. Ongoing reforms aim to separate power plants from power supply networks, privatize a significant amount of state-owned property, encourage competition, and revamp pricing mechanisms. It is expected that the municipal electric power companies will be divided into electric power generating and electric power supply companies. A policy of competition between the different generators will be implemented in the next years. Problems. In spring 2011, it was reported by the New York Times that due to increased demand and price controls, shortages of electricity existed and power outages should be anticipated. The government-regulated price electricity could be sold for had not matched rising prices for coal. Price caps encourage wasteful use of cheap electricity and therefore producers are struggling to generate enough power overall. China is unable to mine enough coal or transport it in sufficient quantities to meet demand. The enormous volume of coal burning generates massive pollution. Regional power shortages occur frequently when generation drops in one province or region, and the lack of long-distance power transmission capacity means that power cannot be routed in from other regions where there is surplus capacity. It seems likely the cost of power will need to rise substantially over the medium term to curb wasteful energy consumption and slow the rate of growth in electricity demand. In theory, the government could raise power costs by a similar amount across the whole of China in the interests of interregional equity. China's power transmission system remains underdeveloped. There is no national grid. Instead, there are 6 regional grids: a Euro 5 managed by the giant State Grid Corporation and an independent grid managed by the South China State Grid Corporation. Northern areas experience shortages in winter due to increased heating demand and problems with coal deliveries. Eastern and southern areas are prone to shortages in late spring, early summer as temperatures and air conditioning demand rise, while reservoir levels and hydro output fall until the arrival of the summer rains in July and August. Guangdong and other southern provinces import substantial quantities of expensive fuel oil and diesel to run additional generation capacity to cope with the resulting power gap. The lack of a unified national grid system hampers the efficiency of power generation nationwide and heightens the risk of localized shortages. Even within these grids, transmission capacity is limited. Many towns and enterprises rely on local off-grid generating plants. More importantly, interconnections between the grids are weak and long-distance transmission capacity is small. The country's limited internal transport capacity risks being overwhelmed by the need to move record quantities of coal from the coal fields of the north and northeast to power generators in the central, eastern and southern areas. The rail system has struggled to deliver adequate quantities of coal to the generators. Ice storms, flooding or droughts which disrupt rail and river deliveries quickly lead to shortages and power outages. Energy infrastructure. The central government has made creation of a unified national grid system a top economic priority to improve the efficiency of the whole power system and reduce the risk of localized energy shortages. It will also enable the country to tap the enormous hydro potential from western China to meet booming demand from the eastern coastal provinces. China is planning for smart grid and related advanced metering infrastructure. Ultra-high voltage transmission equals. The main problem in China is the voltage drop when power is sent over very long distances from one region of the country to another. Long-distance interregional transmission have been implemented by using ultra-high voltages of 800 kV, based on an extension of technology already in use in other parts of the world. The government plans as many as 8 long-distance UHV lines by 2015 and 15 by 2020. HVDC Jizhba, HVDC Three Gorges Guangdong. Following research and testing, SGCC has announced construction of the first long-distance UHV line from Sichuan, which is rich in hydroelectric potential, to the eastern load center of Shanghai. Shanghai already receives hydroelectric power from the massive Three Gorges Dam on the Changjiang at Sanduping in Hubei province. But the new DC 800 kV UHV line would enable it to receive power from twice as far west from the Xianzhou Dam on the Jincha River. Xianzhou will have total generating capacity of 6,400 MW. When completed, the nearby Xiladu Dam will add a further 12,600 MW, making it the world's third largest hydroelectric dam, ranking after the Three Gorges and Brazil's Itaipu. Xiladu and Xianzhou are two of a series of massive new hydro projects that the government plans in southwestern and western China to take advantage of the massive runoff from the Himalayas and the Tibet Plateau. SGCC plans to bring a single pole of the Xianzhou-Shanghai line into commercial operation within 2 years and the second pole a year later. SGCC plans to complete a total of 10 UHV projects by 2015 and 15 by 2020. 1. In most cases, these will bring power from massive new hydro facilities in southwestern China to the industrial and residential centers of the east. Hydropower. China's installed hydro capacity in 2014 was 282 GW, up from 172 GW in 2009, and constituted about 17.3% of total power generation capacity. In 2014, hydropower generated 1,000 TWh, which was equivalent to 17.6% of China's total and 85% of primary electricity generation. As China's potential hydropower capacity is only about 50 to 60% utilized, there remains much space for further hydro development. In comparison, hydro utilization in the US currently is 80% and in Norway, Iceland, and other countries it is at over 90%. The country has set a 350 GW target for 2020. Due to China's scarcity of fossil fuels and the government's preference for energy independence, hydropower is an attractive option. Most of China's hydropower stations are located central and southwestern China, in particular in Sichuan and Yunnan provinces, where 2/3 of China's untapped hydro capacity is located. The West-to-East Transmission Program, which is a key component of China Euro Unregistered Trademark S long-term energy strategy, Plans to have a grid of UHVDC transmission lines carry bulk loads from 13 designated hydropower bases in southwest and western China over several thousand kilometers to the electricity-hungry coastal provinces. These hydropower bases hold 69% of China unregistered trademark's total exploitable capacity, and as of 2008, about 180 middle and large-scale dams are currently under construction there. Hydropower in China has been touted as a renewable and clean energy source, but this masks the fact that large dams, such as the Three Gorges Dam or the Xiladu Dam on the lower Jincha River, have had environmental impacts on the areas surrounding dam reservoirs. Erosion, flooding of valuable farmland, and destruction of fish breeding habitats have been typical problems. Moreover, about 15 million people have been relocated due to dam construction since 1949, and often these uprooted local people, in particular in Sichuan and Yunnan, tend to be poor and non-educated farmers, who are strongly attached to their ancestral land and have found it difficult to adapt to the more urban areas they have been resettled to. Growing media and NGO attention on the ecological and social impacts of hydropower and efforts in the central government in recent years to improve the regulatory framework of hydropower development and protect the interests of minority stakeholders, such as displaced locals, indicate that hydropower may eventually become more environmentally and socially sustainable. Major hydropower corporations: China Yangtze Power, Sino Hydro Corporation and Engineering Company. Nuclear power. In terms of nuclear power generation, China will advance from the moderate development strategy to accelerating development strategy. Nuclear power will play an even more important role in China's future power development. Especially in the developed coastal areas with heavy power load, nuclear power will become the backbone of the power structure there. China has planned to build up another 30 sets of nuclear power generator within 15 years with total installed capacity of 80 GWs by 2020, accounting for about 4% of China's total installed capacity of the electric power industry. This percentage is expected to double every 10 years for several decades out. Plans are for 200 GWs installed by 2030, which will include a large shift to fast breeder reactor, and 1500 GWs by the end of this century. Wind power. With its large land mass and long coastline, China has exceptional wind resources. It is estimated China has about 2,380 GW of exploitable capacity on land and 200 GW on the sea. At the end of 2014, there were 114 GW of electricity generating capacity installed in China, more than the total nameplate capacity of China's nuclear power stations, and over the year 115,000 gigawatt-hours of wind electricity had been provided to the grid. In 2011, China's plan was to have 100 gigawatts of on-grid wind power generating capacity by the end of 2015 and to generate 190 billion kilowatt-hours of wind power in euro. China has identified wind power as a key growth component of the country's economy. Researchers from Harvard and Tsinghua University have found that China could meet all of their electricity demands from wind power through 2030. Regional disparities. South China from the Changjiang Valley down to the South China Sea was the first part of the economy to liberalize in the 1980s and 1990s and is home to much of the country's most modern and often foreign-invested manufacturing industries. Northern and northeastern China's older industrial base has fallen behind, remains focused on the domestic economy and has suffered relative decline. Northern and northeastern China relies heavily on thermal generation from the local coalfields. Northern China will remain reliant on increasingly expensive and polluting thermal generation. Companies. In terms of the investment amount of China's listed power companies, the top three regions are Guangdong Province, Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region and Shanghai, whose investment ratios are 15.33%, 13.84% and 10.53% respectively, followed by Sichuan and Beijing. China's listed power companies invest mostly in thermal power, hydropower and thermoelectricity, with their investments reaching 216.38 billion Chinese renminbi yuan, 97.73 billion Chinese renminbi yuan and 48.58 billion Chinese renminbi yuan respectively in 2007. Investment in gas exploration and coal mining follow as the next prevalent investment occurrences. Major players in China's electric power industry include the five majors and their listed subsidiaries. The five majors are all SOEs directly administered by SASAC. Their listed subsidiaries are substantially independent, hence counted as IPPs, and are major power providers in their own right. Typically each of the Big Five has about 10% of national installed capacity, and their listed subsidiary an extra 4 or 5% on top of that. China Datang Corporation, parent of Datang International Power Generation Company, China Guodian Corporation, parent of GD Power Development Company, China Hudian Group, parent of Hudian Power International Company, Limited. China Huineng Group, parent of Huineng Power International, China Power Investment Corporation, parent of China Power International Development Limited. Additionally, two other SOEs also have listed IPP subsidiaries, the coal mine-owning Shenhua Group, parent of China Shenhua Energy Company, China Resources Group, parent of China Resources Power Holdings Company Limited, secondary companies, Shenzhen Energy Company, Limited, Guangdong Yudian Group Company, Limited, and Hui Province Energy Group Company, Limited. Hebei Jiantou Energy Investment Company, Limited. Guangdong Baolie New Energy Stock Company, Limited. Shandong Luneng Teshan Cable Company, Limited. Guangzhou Development Industry Company, Limited. Chongqing Zhejiang Electric Power Company, Limited. Chongqing Fling Electric Power Industrial Company, Limited. Shenergy Company, Shanghai. Shenergy Group, Shanghai. Sichuan Cheng'antou Energy Stock Company, Limited. Naotoi Securities Company, Limited. Panjiang Coal and Electric Power Group, Hunan Huin Electric Power Company, Limited. Shaanxi Top Energy Company, Limited. Inner Mongolia Mengdian Huineng Thermal Power Company, Limited. SDIC Hujing Power Holdings Company, Limited. Sichuan Minjiang Hydropower Company, Limited. Yan'an Wenchun Electric Power Company, Limited. Ganxi Guodong Electric Power Company, Limited. Sichuan Zishang Electric Power Company, Limited. Sichuan Minxing Electric Power Company, Limited. Sichuan Guanganawa Public Company, Limited. Sichuan Leshan Electric Power Company, Limited. Fujian Mingdong Electric Power Company, Limited. Guizhou Qianuan Power Company, Limited. Nuclear and Hydro, China Guangdong Nuclear Power Group, China Yangtze Power, Sino Hydro Corporation and Engineering Company. Guangdong Mian Hydropower Company, Limited. Grid operators include, State Grid Corporation of China, China Southern Power Grid, Wenzhou CHINT Group Corporation. See also, China Electricity Council, International Energy Agency, North China Electric Power University, Electricity Sector in Macau. References: The Current Situation of China's Electric Power Industry, Electricity Sector Development Strategy in China, China's Electric Power Industry and its Trends, Reform in China Euro Unregistered Trademark S Electric Power Industry, a case study of East China Euro Unregistered Trademark S Wholesale Electric Power Market, Electric Power Industry in China. Footnotes. Further reading: Han, Weink. Jiang, Jun. Fan, Lai Jun. Reform of China's Electric Power Industry, Facing the Market and Competition. International Journal of Global Energy Issues, Volume 23, Numbers 2-3, April 20, 2005, pages 188 to 195. 8. Li, Jerry, From Strong to Smart, The Chinese Smart Grid and Its Relation with the Globe, AEPN, article number 18602, Asia Energy Platform. Professor Xifan Wang, Dr. Lui Li. Electric Power Industry Restructuring in China. DOI 10.1002/0470846119 ch 7, Consideration on Energy, Environmental problems in electric power industry of China. Proceedings of the Conference on Energy, Economy, and Environment. Vol. 16th. No. Page 235 to 240, 2000, China's Electric Power Options, An Analysis of Economic and Environmental Costs, Zhu Yichong. Powering China, Reforming the Electric Power Industry in China. Dartmouth. ISBN 0-7546-2251-7, Electric Power System in China. History of Development, Present Status and Future Perspective, Professor Liang Zedong, Tsinghua University, China Euro Unregistered Trademark S. Rapidly Growing Power Industry, Yearbook, China Electric Power Statistical Yearbook, 2007. External links, China Electric Power Research Institute, associated with the State Grid Corporation of China, Office of the National Energy Leading Group, China Electrotechnical Society, Energy Research Institute of China, China Electric Power Database, China's Oversupply of Electric Power worrisome January 2, 2006 Zhang Ming'an, HK Trade Council, China Electric Power Industry Forum, China Power Forum.